As you continue to take a look at the accessory structures of the eye, the next stop is to take a look at the lacrimal apparatus. A couple things I'm going to add into there is the actual eyelids itself, which we call the palpebrae. So let's start off with the lacrimal apparatus because it does have a nice little flow to it. If you've ever heard of lacrimate or crying, that's essentially what it is. Lacrimating animals like crocodiles don't believe those kind of tears will destroy you. That means to cry a lot. So lacrimate, lacrimal, lacrimal apparatus is tears. So let's start off with where they start. Keep in mind this is our right eye, and we always start in the lateral surface because we're going to wash away many of the stuff that gets through onto our eye and try to get rid of it. And so we start off here. This is called the lacrimal gland. As you kind of see, there's kind of two lobes here. And then deep inside of it is these little white kind of structures. Each inside, these are called our lacrimal ducts. And this is what's going to secrete our lacrimal fluid. As you can kind of see on the other side of the palpebrae, you can kind of see the ducts a little bit better, a little bit more clearly. You can see these little ridges and kind of ducts that will lead into all this stuff. So lacrimal gland goes to our lacrimal ducts and gets into what we call our palpebrae fissure. If these are our palpebrae, upper and lower palpebrae, and then it kind of makes a slice. It's not like we just slap in two eyelids like that. We actually have two little slits. And so this slit, or the space in between, is called the palpebrae fissure. Each end is what we call a canthus. So we have a lateral canthus and a medial canthus. And opening our eyes, of course, we close our palpebrae fissure, and then when we cry, we get the fluid inside of our palpebrae fissure, and then ultimately it flows into the medial canthus, right? And so there's a unique structure in the medial canthus here that is not found in the lateral canthus. It's this little kind of junk in there, that pink stuff. This is what we call the lacrimal carnuncle. I don't know why I always remember, but it's like caramel uncle. So the lacrimal carnuncle, if you get caramel in your eye because of your uncle, it gets stuck in here. So this is your lacrimal carnuncle. And then here, you'll find two little holes. One, two. These are what we call lacrimal puncta. I always think like puncture. So lacrimal puncta, we have a superior one and an inferior one that leads into what we call our lacrimal canaliculi. You kind of see them here. So every time you blink, every time you cry, whatever it is that you do to get your lacrimal juices flowing, will flow and blink and make your fluid move across the palpebrae fissure into the medial canthus, and then ultimately into these two small holes called lacrimal puncta down the lacrimal canaliculi, and then you're going to then join them here, which will lead into this lacrimal sac. You can kind of see this lacrimal sac is the portion that goes above the entry point and then down into the nasal lacrimal duct. This is why every time you cry or somebody pepper sprays you or maces you, you start snorting or like having the snot runs like immediately. And so this is, again, the flow. Let's review. You got the lacrimal gland with the lacrimal ducts into the palpebrae fissures, which has a lateral and medial canthus. This little pink portion is called the lacrimal carnuncle. These little holes are called the lacrimal puncta that lead into a lacrimal canaliculi that lead into the lacrimal sac, down into the nasal lacrimal duct, and then ultimately into the inferior nasal meatus that drains into your nasal cavity.